Hey team, I am here today doing the DNF tag. So I was tagged to do this by Jade from Paperback to Hardback and Becca from Becca's Bookshelves, and it took me so long to do it. Obviously I got tagged by two people, but I am a very serial DNFer, so I thought it'd be a really good tag to do. It'll be a lot of fun, easy. There are 9 questions overall, so I'm just going to get straight into it, and it'll be a lot of fun. So, question 1, do you DNF? Yes. As I've just said, I am quite a serial DNFer. I don't give books too much of a chance. With some books, I try to get like at least 100 pages in, but if I feel as though I'm going to not enjoy the book anyway, for example, if it was a classic like Rebecca, I DNF'd at 30 pages. If I have an inkling I'm not going to like the book anyway before I start, I will only give it to like maybe page 50, and if I'm really struggling with it before page 50, then I'll DNF. I'm not afraid to DNF, so I'm more than happy to do it. Question 2. If you DNF a book, does it count towards the books read for the month? No, it does not, because I personally, I know everyone's different, I personally only class books I've read as books I've read. And if I've read a bit of a book, it's not read, so it can't go on my read shelf. It would go in a separate shelf that I have on my Goodreads, which is the DNF shelf. I don't class it as read just because I feel as though I need to actually finish to have it count towards a book read. But I know everyone's different, and if people count it towards it, that's absolutely fine. I just know I personally don't like that. I do count it towards books off my TBR because it's off my TBR, it's gone. It's just not a finished read book, so I don't count it as read, but I do count it as off. Question 3. Is there a difference between a DNF and just putting it down for a bit? In general, there is definitely a difference because I know many people, a lot of my friends do it. They put a book down, they're just not in the right mood, and when they're feeling a lot better, they go back to it. When they feel as though they're not in the mood for a fantasy and they read a fantasy, they put it down, then they pick it back up when the mood kind of takes them. For me, there is not a difference, but I know that's just me personally and my reading tastes. I don't assume other people feel or act the same way. I actually assume the opposite, that a lot of people are putting things down and picking them back up when the mood fancies. I just know I'm not one of them people, because I see books as, if I read it once and I don't like it, or I'm putting it down because I'm not in the mood for it, if I ever try and pick it back up, I always kind of associate the feelings of why I put it down the first time with the book, which I know it's rubbish. That's not the point. Sometimes it's not the book's fault. Sometimes you're just not in the right mood or not in the right mind frame to be reading a certain book. But if I'm not in the place to read a book and I put it down, the next time I go to pick it back up, I'm like, oh, I remember the last time I tried reading this and I felt like this and I didn't like it. And I've always associated books with the feelings of how I felt when I read them. Don't know why. It's pretty stupid, but I do that. So if I put a book down because I'm not in the mood for it, I'm never going to pick it back up. So it is a DNF for me. If I put it down for a bit, it's not getting picked back up. Officially a DNF, but I know people are very different to me. I know there are so many differences, so I can't blame other people for having that difference. I think it's important for people to have that difference, because I would love to be able to just put a book down because I'm not in the mood for it and then pick it back up. Next, what popular book have you DNF'd? I DNF'd a very popular book. I had an arc for it, and that is Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Bayron. Everyone was raving about this, so I requested an art copy from NetGalley. I got approved, and then during Galley-a-thon 2, which happened a while ago, I tried giving it a read, and this was one of those where I did not get far into it. I think I got 8% of the way into the book. I've not read the book, so I don't know how many pages that was, but didn't get far into it at all. I really, really struggled with it. I just found it to be very boring, very dull. I was not in the mood to be reading that type of book anyway, so I DNF'd it, and I don't regret it. I don't want to pick it back up and find out what happens. I just genuinely couldn't care less, and So many people have said they love the book, and I'm so glad that they do, but so many others have said that they also really hated the book and they DNF'd the book, and I think it's just one of them. I was on the side of not liking it, which is a shame. Other popular books, I've also DNF'd Wuthering Heights. That's quite a popular one. And I don't think I've DNF'd too many other popular books. I know I DNF Rebecca, but they're more classics as opposed to popular. Like in terms of popularity, like current booktube hype, etc., Cinderella is Dead is the big one. Next, what book do you wish you DNF'd? I don't necessarily wish I DNF'd any. I read Alice in Wonderland earlier in the year, and I gave that a 1-star rating. That is, I think, to date, the only 1-star rating I've given. But do I wish that I DNF'd it? Not really. I wish I'd read it quicker, so that I'd have just whizzed through, got it gone. But I don't think I wish I DNF'd it, so I don't think I have a book for that one or anything like that. I feel as though, yes, I didn't enjoy it, but I'm glad I didn't DNF, because then at least I got the full experience, especially with something like Alice in Wonderland, which everyone seems to refer to as their favourite book ever. And I read it, and if I DNF'd it, I probably would have felt dissatisfied because everyone seemed to say how much they love it. I'd have felt like, oh, maybe if I'd have carried on, I would have felt a certain way. I wouldn't know, but I'm glad I didn't DNF. So no, I don't really have a book I wished I DNF'd. Question 6 is, do you ever reattempt to read a DNF, and has this been successful? No, because I've said, like I said earlier, if I just put a book down for a bit, I always associate it with the feelings. And I've never picked up a book I've DNF'd saying, you know what, maybe I'll give this a go. I was going to do that earlier in the year, like when I first started my channel. I was going to do a thing where I gave all of my DNFs for a season and people could pick and I would finish one. But in the end, I just realised I didn't want to do that, so I didn't do it. I've never picked up a book that I've previously DNF'd and tried. I just know that I wouldn't like it, so I just think there's no point. It's a waste of time for me. So yeah, no. Question 7 is, what do you do with the books you DNF? I put them in a little pile behind my Shadowhunter Chronicles and I unhaul them. If I seriously hate a book to the point I DNF'd, I give it to my mum because she likes burning books. But if I just DNF'd a book because I don't like it, put it behind the pile. When it's time to do an unhaul, just include it in that pile. Either pass it on to someone, chuck it, charity shops, but they're not open, or give them to my mum and she burns them if they're not gone within 2 weeks. Question 8. Do you choose more or less risky titles because of your stance on DNFs? Well, my stance on DNFs is do it. Like, I am not someone who would say don't DNF, you have to carry on. I frequently say to my friends, if you're bored, just get rid of it. There are so many more books you can read. My friends frequently say that to me because as much of a pro DNFer that I am, I do debate not DNFing and carry on with books. But I don't think I actively choose more or less risky things just because I don't get things from the library. And I'm not the biggest fan of Kindle books and audiobooks. So any type of book I get, when I say I don't go to the library, by the way, I mean because it's shut. When I get books, it's from Amazon or it's from bookshops, and I have to pay money. So I'm not going to buy books that I think I might not like just because I don't mind DNFing. It just doesn't make sense. Plus, I know what I like, so I'm not going to be risky and go out of my comfort zone. Like, I'm less afraid of going out of my comfort zone, don't get me wrong. If people recommend a book to me and I can get it from like a charity shop if they're ever open, or I can get it as a Kindle copy, I'd be more likely to give it a go. But I'm not more likely to say, yeah, I don't really read sci-fi, but I don't mind DNFing, so here's a few sci-fi books I'm going to give a go. It just seems pointless for me. And the last question is just to tag 5 BookTube buddies. So I'm going to tag 5 people. First, I'm going to tag Ella from the universe of A Bookworm, then Kaz from Cats and Camera, Helen from Helen's Book Haven, Robbie from Andy's Nose Stuck in a Book, and Jess from Jess Wadey. Okay? You're all tagged. Hopefully you enjoyed this DNF tag. It'll be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. And until next time, guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye.
SafeMusicList.com, royalty-free music for marketing and promotional videos.